Welcome back to the ESAT training videos. This video is going to look at notes, how to add them, and what to put in the notes for a learner. I have signed into the demonstration site as a site manager, and you can see that I have access to 2 learners. On the action bar, there is the word notes, and by clicking on that link, I can open up the note page. The note page provides the location for anyone who is internal staff to see all the notes that have been entered for this individual. It also allows you to search those notes by who submitted it, the skill, the content word, date, action, or outcome. And normal search query formats apply here. I can print any note by selecting it and printing. I can select all on the page and print and so forth. I can also clear my selections here. You'll note that for site managers only, at the very bottom right, there is a delete selected button. Now, we obviously don't want people going around and deleting the notes, so that is limited to the site manager as a function. When notes are entered, you can see that we have the name of the person who put the note in, the date and time of the event, the skill name if that is relevant. There's a column called action, which is actually talking about what kind of note it is. We'll look at that in a minute. Any outcome that has been decided by the counselor related to the note, and then the words. And you can see that some of these actually probably should be deleted because they're nonsense. So we'll just delete that one. The notes are entered in the correct time sequence. So if you put a note in that was about something that happened a couple of days ago, it'll appear drop down in the list. And you can see some notes are flagged pink. These are the ones that have an outcome of a performance improvement agreement, and some are red, and those are the ones that are continuance contracts. The performance improvement agreement, if I click on print PA, you can see what it looks like. It's a non-disciplinary written document that talks about what actions the person is going to take and why they're going to take them. This isn't a particularly good example, but you want to be specific in the kinds of actions the person's going to try and undertake, and be a little more specific than this about what it is that they're trying to achieve. These are negotiated as part of the debriefing session between the counselor and the learner, and then they are shared through the ESAT system with the members of the team so that everybody knows what the person is trying to do and can support them. The print CC button gives you the continuance contract. In our system, this is a more disciplinary function because it's a behavior that could lead to dismissal. So it could be safety related, or it could be the result of PIAs not working and this behavior having to be dealt with. So those are available to you, as we'll see, but they're not mandatory. You guys can choose which you use or don't use. So if we want to add a new note, it's very simple. We just click on add a new note. Their name is automatically filled in for us. We can change the date if we need to. We have the time of the event. So if this is an observation about some behavior, you're going to say when that behavior happened. And this is important because you may see several behaviors over the course of a half an hour or an hour, and the sequence can be important. If it's not an observation, say you're talking about a meeting, you can just put the time of the meeting in or leave it blank. Here we're going to identify what skill we're observing, and if it's not an observation, then just select not applicable. So we'll just select one of these. So the action is actually talking about what kind of note you're putting in. The first choice obviously is observation. You can record an absence or a late, which would typically just be putting in the number in the note. So the 5th late, you select absence or late and put the number 5 in the note. You can call it a meeting summary. This is typically referred to as a meeting between the counselor and the client. A running note is sometimes administrative. You can interpret what these mean to your organization as you need to. You can have a note about assessments. This was added recently so that staff could put in a note where they were recognizing something positive about the client. So they can certainly state that, and other. So this allows you to use this as more of a case management process. And here we add the note. You can adjust the size of the box if you need to, and you can also copy and paste into this if you need to. Notes typically should be limited to what you saw and heard, and you can also record the client's reaction to the observation, because when you make an observation, you should make sure the client knows that, that something was observed. You want to avoid diagnostics. You want to basically keep in mind that at some point in the future, the client could request access to these notes through a Freedom of Information request, and they are entitled to see them. So treat them like you would any other filing system, right? Shorter is generally better. It's better to get the note in soon rather than get it in late and be overly detailed. The outcome is entered only by a counselor. It doesn't appear when staff put in the note. And here's where you've got your choice of no outcome. So you're not doing anything regarding the observation. You can say that it's a positive outcome. And that typically means that you're recognizing their progress in some way, maybe a coffee card or something like that. You can have a verbal agreement as an outcome in which you've met and they've agreed to try something different, not do a certain behavior. You can refer them to training if you like. Here's the PIA and CC. I'll show you those in a second. You've got suspension, leave of absence, end of programming, or other. Okay, so if you select PIA, then new cells appear, and you're going to enter the start date of your PIA, the end date of your PIA. You can put in how many PIAs have been used for this skill. Maybe this is the third time they're on a PIA for the same thing. And you can put in how many observations this is based on. Maybe you've seen 4 observations on time management, and so you're going to put a PIA in related to that. Here's where you enter the actions to be taken. I like to do it in the form of a numbered list, and then so forth. And then down here, expected outcomes of the actions. What's the benefit to the learner? Same thing, I'd put in a numbered list. Okay? Those blocks are the ones you need to fill in if you select PIA. If you select a continuance contract, then it's a little bit different. Start date, end date, the same blocks here, but you just have the actions undertaken by the learner. Because this is a disciplinary document, it's more you shall do this, or there may be consequences. Okay? So I'm going to just drop those right off. We'll make this a no response. So those disappear. The last thing that you do for any note is you can force the note to be emailed to other members of the team. So if you highlight any particular name on here, then when you save the note, the system is going to email that note to the person. By holding the control button down, I can select more than one. It's worth remembering that when you do this, the note is coming from the ESAT system. Okay, so the people you're emailing should be aware of that and should know not to reply, because the reply will not go to you. The reply will go to ESAT. Okay, so whoever you want to pick here, and then you just save, and the note will appear. And here it is. If you want to edit the note, the counselors and site managers have the ability to edit notes, and it'll just open up, and you can modify anything that needs to be modified in there. Okay, so we just click save again, and we're back to where we were. And that's how you add notes to the system. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us through the contact information that was provided when you got your license.